As a general overview, as per FAA Regulation 61.109 for the private pilot, the requirements, aeronautical experience for an airplane single-engine rating, except as provided in paragraph K of this section, a person who applies for a private pilot certificate with an airplane category and single-engine class rating must log at least 40 hours of flight time. That includes at least 20 hours of flight training from an authorized instructor and 10 hours of solo flight training. So you want to become a pilot. The path to becoming a pilot starts here. Your flight training starts with a intro flight. You usually wind up scheduling that at a flight school, such as a FAA Part 61 or FAA Part 141. You go ahead and take your first intro flight. And from there, you usually decide, is this something you want to pursue? If you do pursue it, like I said, you'll wind up scheduling with a flight instructor, obtain your first lesson. It's also highly recommended, what I've seen, so that way you know what's to come. Being ahead of your flight training is to start the ground school, which is usually conducted by the school as a complete ground school, or flight instructor conducts the actual ground. You then, somewhere from the first lessons to ground school, it's highly recommended that you get your medical. You really want to check to make sure there's no medical issues that would prohibit you from further flight training and waste time and money. To accomplish getting your medical, and for this scenario, we're going to be looking to get our FAA third class medical. You could go to FAA.gov, go to licenses and certificates, go to medical certification, and if you scroll down, you could click on a link how to obtain a medical certificate. And the system that is currently used to apply for a FAA medical is MedExpress, and you'd click that, create your free user account, and then you could initiate your FAA medical application online. Now that we have our MedExpress application in for our third class medical, we could go ahead and find our Aviation Medical Examiner, AME. We go to FAA.gov website, training and testing, go to airman testing, go down to find an FAA examiner. We want today a aviation medical examiner. Our designee type is our AME, aviation medical examiner. And today we'll search for location, and country would be United States. And for us today, we'll choose New York, and we're looking actually for a third class, so we'll leave these first class AME box unchecked. Click the search button, and the search results gives us a bunch of aviation medical examiners, and you would just look for one that is closest to your address or place of residence that's closest to you. Now for your written private pilot knowledge test. To find a location where you can actually take the private pilot knowledge test, you could go to the FAA.gov website, go to training and testing, select airman testing, you scroll down to knowledge testing. There's PSI Services Knowledge Testing Centers. You click on the PSI Services Knowledge Testing Centers website, external website from the FAA, and you can actually find a test center by location closest to you. Now that you accomplished your knowledge test or some time around the knowledge test, you'll probably wind up doing some dual training and do some solo flight training, which will involve soloing in the traffic pattern area, probably your practice area, and then doing some more dual training with a flight instructor, and then going on your solo cross countries. Now that you accomplished your solo cross countries, you go ahead and prepare for the final stage, which will be preparing and practicing all maneuvers, studying for the knowledge oral portion of the flight exam. And once your flight instructor or school feels that you're ready, you'll go ahead and schedule it with the Designated Pilot Examiner, DPE. Scheduling with a Designated Pilot Examiner, you could go to FAA.gov website, and if you go to Training and Testing, Airman Testing, and if you want to find your Designated Pilot Examiner, click on the Find an FAA Examiner. Go to Designated Pilot Examiners. For today's purposes, we'll choose all pilot examiners, but you could choose, say if you want to do the private pilot, you could choose by private pilot. But to broaden the selection of examiners, we'll go all pilot examiners. And then you select the geographic locations that's closest to where you want to take your private pilot examination. Now that you scheduled with a designated pilot examiner for the check ride and successfully passed the check ride, congratulations, you're a pilot. You now have earned your first certificate as a private pilot airplane single engine land.